Hello, welcome to another video and welcome to the seaside town of Ventspils here on the northern Baltic coast of Latvia. If you watched my last video taking Ecoline's coach from Riga to Ventspils, you'll know that I've got an overnight ferry tonight from here in Ventspils over to Nynäshamn on the Baltic coast of Sweden. That's a separate video. I've now got 7 hours before my ferry leaves to Sweden from here, so I'm going to go and see what Ventspils has to offer. It's often described as Plymouth, Brighton, Portsmouth, Blackpool on TripAdvisor by Brits and Americans who've been here. If it is like that, then great. It's like being back at home. I've just arrived at the bus station here on the outer edge of Ventspils. I'm going to go and do a bit of a quick recce for where the ferry terminal is, so I know where it is when I need to go and check in at about 8 PM tonight. And then we will go and explore. There's a Livonian order castle in Ventspils apparently, and a pier with a famous lighthouse at the end of it. But I'm going to go now and see if I can find the Stena Line ferry terminal. I have to say, so far Ventspils is deserted, which may not be a good sign. It is a Sunday. Mine is the only ferry leaving. I can see the ferry actually through these trees. It's the Stena Scandica ferry, but I will talk all through that ferry in the next video when we're actually on board. But I need to just find the terminal. Down this really eerily quiet back street. Can this be the way to a ferry terminal? This is a big cargo hub apparently for Latvia, but this just seems too quiet. I can check in 3 hours before my departure at 11 PM tonight. It's now about 4 PM, so we've got a bit of time to kill. So according to Google Maps, the ferry terminal should be around here somewhere. Like ferry terminal this way. I can see the golden spire of an Orthodox church through the trees. But what I cannot see is a ferry terminal. There's signs for trucks and cars, but where's the passenger terminal? Oh, there it is. The Stena Line ferry terminal. I guess that's the passenger one. Cars, passengers check-in at the office round the corner. Right, well, we know where it is. Let's now head into the town, city, whatever Ventspils is, and see what there is here for a couple of hours. So if we keep walking along here, along the harbour here, we should eventually come to the castle. It is really windy. It's so windy, I'm struggling to even stay stood up. This seems to be a very industrial part of town. An industrial town entirely. But there's free Wi-Fi everywhere. And there are these statues of bulls and cows dotted across the town that I've seen. This one has been sawn in half and has one of these things in it. And then there's this fountain here that seems to be spraying water at people walking past. There are lots of old houses and buildings scattered around the town. This used to be, well, it was part of the Livonian order. This was one of the key harbours during medieval times. I don't even know if you can hear me because it's so windy. So the castle is to my left, if we go left here. As I said, lots of these old wooden type houses scattered around. That's very creepy. I was expecting him to talk or something. That must be the Livonian Order castle, surrounded by wooden houses. I just need to figure out how to get in. There doesn't seem to be an entrance. I've just walked all the way around. Let me go back around the back of the castle and see if I can find a way to get in and get a ticket. I'm surprised just how quiet this place is. It's deserted pretty much. So I had never heard of Ventspils until I stumbled across the ferry when I was looking at the marine traffic just to find some interesting way of getting out of Latvia. And then it directed me to Ventspils and Seaside in Sweden. So I guess this is quite off the beaten tourist track. It seems like it's probably off the beaten local track as well. It's also very, very windy. It's going to be a rough crossing tonight from how strong these winds are. I found the police station. So I found an entrance. I've got my ticket. It was €7, and I've got a free sticker, Ventspils Museum sticker. I just now need to figure out how to get into the castle. is a mummified rat, apparently. So that was Ventspils Livonian Castle and Museum. It's wasted half an hour of the 7 hours I have until my ferry leaves. I'm not sure what else there is to do. Let's have a look at the sign. Yeah, there's not much on that sign either. I'll just have a wander round. I haven't seen any sign of the pier and the big lighthouse. So I guess Seaside. Yeah, let's walk down here and then see if we can come across the beach. That's another thing I haven't seen. It's supposed to be a really famous beach in Ventspils. Well, famous by Baltic standards anyway. They find a lot of amber washing up on this beach, but I don't know where it is. I'll keep walking along the harbour and see if I come across something. So there's really not much here. It's a tiny town, hardly any people walking around. Everything's shut, being a Sunday afternoon. This is apparently the town centre. There are plenty of nice buildings, nice old medieval and 17th century buildings, but not much else to do other than just wander around looking at some architecture. So the market square is supposedly this way. So a lot of places just seem abandoned. So if you've ever wanted to know what an abandoned market is like, well, this is it. Lots of empty carts and stalls. A boarded up building. And this is the market square. Just as deserted as the rest of Ventspils. There's just nobody here. I mean, you wouldn't think this was a major shipping port for Latvia. In fact, for the whole Baltic. It's just dead. I've got another 3.5 hours before I can check in. And the ferry terminal's literally 5 minutes down the road that way. I don't know what I'm going to do. So far, would I recommend visiting Ventspils? Well, seeing as it takes 3 hours to get here from Riga, and it's not really near any of the other Baltic countries, probably not. It's probably not worth going out of your way to come here. So what I could do with doing is getting something to eat. I'll talk you through what it's going to be like on the ferry later, but because it leaves so late and arrives quite early in the morning, I'm not going to have time to eat anything on the ferry, and it doesn't look like there's any supermarkets here. So I could do with a restaurant that I can actually eat in, but I might not be in luck on that front either. I'll keep wandering around and see if I stumble across anything that looks restaurant-ish, and see if they've got anything on the menu I can actually eat. So I've just finished up at a place called Krog's Restaurant, the yellow building behind me. It's an old medieval inn just by the harbour here in Ventspils. I had a vegetarian wok fry with some potato wedges, €10. I also had have been €5, but I was only charged €10.30. So I think they've undercharged me. But anyway, I'm now full. There was more than enough to keep me going for tonight. Then when we get to Sweden tomorrow, we'll see what is available in the 5 hours we've got before we need to get to Stockholm Airport. I've now wasted about another 1.5 hours in that restaurant. So we've now got probably 1.5 hours before we can check in for the ferry, and then another 3 hours to wait before the ferry actually leaves. But yeah, I'm gonna just slowly walk towards the ferry terminal, and then go and check in when I can. So the heavens have opened, it's absolutely pouring down. So I've come under this wooden shelter thing where a market should be. So I've got myself a Lofberg's coffee, €1.50 from one of the machines, just lying around everywhere, just to try and keep me awake. It's still only 7:45, I think, so I've still got a long time to hang around. There's literally nobody here in Ventspils. I haven't seen a single person for probably an hour. I'm not quite sure what's going on. So this is Ventspils at 8 PM at night. This random Baltic town on the north of Latvia. I haven't seen a single person for nearly 2 hours. I'm only here because I'm taking the Stena Scandica boat over to Sweden like tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this random video from this random town. Would you come to Ventspils? Have I missed anything? Thanks for watching. See you on board the Stena boat in the next video. But until then, keep travelling and see you later.